Hello and welcome to Always in Escrow with Serena Appel and Colby Burchin. Hello, Colby.
Hello, Serena.
I am especially excited to speak today to the latest guest, who is Lauren Wax. She is the founder of Etc. PR and the OG foodie influencer behind Eats and the City. Her agency-style PR firm focuses on all things beauty and food, and we are going to jump right into today's conversation because Lauren is a fellow publicist, digital media gal, foodie herself, and just welcomed at this table always. Hello, Lauren.
Hello, this is so exciting. I usually am the one pitching my clients to be on podcasts, so I really appreciate you having me on and me telling my story as I build my business.
You know, I love when a South Floridian joins our podcast. So, Serena, Lauren is from Boca Raton, which I am presently at.
Born and raised.
Yeah, which is rare to find it's kind of reverse. I came from New York. Everyone comes from New York. Lauren came from Boca Raton to New York. So that's very interesting. Lauren, you ready for some questions?
Sure.
Okay.
Like why I'm not down there right now?
Yeah. So share a bit of your experience going to a school in the Northeast and how it influenced your career path.
Sure. So yeah, being born and raised in South Florida, I'm the oldest of three, but significantly older than my siblings. I'm 5 years apart from my sister and 6 years from my brother. I always, I loved up north. I went to sleepaway camp. All of my friends were, from up north. I had a camp boyfriend for 4 years during high school and college. So I spent a lot of time up here on breaks. And I think maybe he was a reason partially why I went to school up north, but at the same time, I really was anti-Florida schools, which is pretty, I wouldn't use the word selfish, but if I knew like how beneficial it was to go to a school in Florida with like bright futures and prepaid and all of that, and you know how much potential money I could have saved my family, maybe I would have, like, if I was more mature, maybe I would have stayed in Florida, but I just had to get out. My dad told me, if you get into Boston University and can take a trip in February in the brutal cold and not complain the entire time, then you could go. So I got in. I got in. I applied early decision, got in. So kind of you still have to go most like if you get early decision. And then I didn't complain to him. I probably like complained internally. And yeah, so I went to Boston University, studied communications. I actually went there to be a broadcast major. I did TV production in my senior year, and I really love broadcast. But then I learned that you really had to go to like a small market in the Midwest or, Northwest. And then I pivoted. At one point, I wanted to be a lawyer, something in the entertainment industry. But I have a family member who's like a third cousin who's Jimmy Kimmel's lawyer, and or was, I think he still is. And he looked at me and he was like, "You're not cut out for this." And so it was right before I went abroad to Barcelona, brought my LSAT book to Spain and did not come back with it. And then I did PR. So what they teach you in school, I feel like, Serena, were you a PR major?
The closest thing to it was literature and rhetoric.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, that probably you didn't really learn too much about PR and communications. No. I really didn't either. I think my most beneficial thing was a public speaking class. And then the like PR crisis communication class was like, so-and-so lost their package at FedEx. What would you do if, like, it was something that was obviously, people lose packages all the time. And I feel like in PR sending boxes, that happens pretty frequently, but like, that's not a PR crisis. Yeah. So that's like the norm. So yeah, I kind of learned that way. I had internships, one in the city, one in Boston, one actually in Florida at Keratin Complex. I think they're still in Boca. But my senior year, I really like needed to move to New York City, applied everywhere. And unfortunately, wherever you apply, if you don't know someone, it's really hard to get in. And then I met someone who knew someone and ended up at a small boutique firm called TL Communications, which was really focused on beauty, lifestyle. I worked with brands. I mean, some of them don't exist as much anymore, but Yes To. I worked with Orbe, which is an incredible brand. I launched R&Co. I worked
Oh
with a
yeah.
cosmetic doctor, Dr. Paul Jared Frank, who
Mm-hmm.
I,
Mm-hmm.
definitely really helped him get on the map. And funny enough,
Wow.
my sister works with him right now and is doing an incredible job with his social media and marketing. She's his head of marketing. And then I was there for 7 years. So that's pretty rare in PR.
Yeah.
Right before my wedding, like a crazy person, 3 months before my wedding, I got an offer from HL Group. It was a significant pay difference, and it was to work on brands like Charlotte Tilbury, Diptyque, Tatcha, and Beauty Blender. So, like, it
Whoa.
was a no brainer. It was obviously very hard to leave this job because it was like my family. Um, but I had to do it for my career, and I'm so glad that I did. And this was when, believe it or not, I know everyone knows Charlotte Tilbury, but this was when Charlotte Tilbury was just another makeup artist brand. She was obviously big, but I helped launch her in Sephora, and
Big.
did some really awesome
Because
things with
I
her. And
would
it
I
wasn't
would
just
track her down in Bergdorf's. Like she
yeah,
wasn't.
it wasn't just me. I mean, we had
Yeah,
such an incredible team,
of
but
course. But you
definitely
launched
helped.
her. I remember when she went mainstream. I mean, that was
Yeah.
definitely due in part to your launch
Yeah,
efforts.
it was definitely it was challenging because it was such a big, massive global brand, as were the other ones, but they were lovely to work with. And then I developed a relationship with someone at Beauty Blender, which was one of my main clients. Um, somehow finagled my way to work for them in house. It worked out because someone in house went to Charlotte Tilbury, someone in house went to Tatcha. So I'm like, all right, at this point, who cares about non competes? And
That was my dream. It was to go in house like that. That's incredible.
so I'm really happy. That was my dream too. And I landed the job as global communications director of Beauty Blender. So I started October 2019. Think about the map and what happened in
Okay.
2020.
Yep.
And it was pretty awesome. This was truly my dream job. I was managing 4 people. My boss was awesome. She trusted me. She was kind of in my shoes probably like 5 years before. So she was growing in her career as VP. And I really aspired to move up that corporate path. And so within the first 4 months, pre-COVID, spoiler alert, I flew to LA twice. I went to DC. Our founder was being honored by the Smithsonian Museum. That was pretty cool. And then I did our
Yeah.
Australia launch. So I flew business class. And this is what I thought my job would be for the rest of my life. But obviously we know what happens. But so I flew to Australia for 4 days, but it was business class. So it's like if you're sleeping on the plane, great. And I did our concealer launch, but like just me. Like I didn't usually you travel people, but I had to really be confident. And even though I was only there for such a short time, I felt like I really knew the brand after working on them, prior for almost 2 years. And that was really awesome. Then, March, womp womp, COVID happened. People stopped wearing makeup. Half of the company got furloughed. We all know what happens next. So during that time of furlough, I dipped my feet in some side hustle stuff. I have a food Instagram, Eats in the City. So I was really focused on supporting restaurants, made a TikTok. I was pretty active on TikTok then. I'm really not so now, although I just read an article that something with the House just passed or that it might be banned, which I'm
Wow.
totally fine with because
I'm like
that's
floored that that's happening, but
I mean,
okay.
we'll see. I really haven't had time to read the news today,
Yes.
but we could say that for another time. And yeah, from there, kind of like realized that you can't rely on whatever job you have because no one knew that this would happen. And so 6 months I was furloughed. Ended up being brought back by my boss. She said, "You're the only one that we're bringing back from furlough. Everyone else got officially laid off." I got brought back. Then almost everyone who stayed on during COVID was doing like multiple jobs for people. They all quit. And then it really ended up being like an interesting transition. And it was still a great company. I really don't have bad things to say. but I ended up getting laid off last May because I think we're just trying to be more profitable and, as most companies do. And during that time before, I had a baby. So I was thinking about also starting my own thing, looking for the next thing to do. And long story short, I started my own company. I have a few clients, but I don't want to, I don't know, I feel like I'm talking a lot. So ask another question.
So Lauren and I met because of Eats in the City. I knew that that this was her side hustle, everybody, because I too, during my agency time or, time with brands, had a little side hustle, and that became my agency, my firm that is still today. So I was admiring Ms. Lauren Wax's like incredible feed, and it was growing rapidly. Okay, so let's take everybody back to launching this, and then tell us a little bit about how it became, bigger than just a side hustle, and also what the biggest partnerships were that you worked on to really launch it, because it's massive. You have an incredible following. So
Sure.
take it away, Lauren.
Okay, so I'll try to sum this up pretty quickly. So, in a nutshell, my personal Instagram account had tons. This was, pre Eats in the City, had tons of food pictures. Whenever someone would ask me what's a affordable Italian spot in the East Village, I'd be like Little Frankie's or like I would know what to say. And when a new restaurant would be opening up, I would literally run across, like even if I wasn't on that side of the road, I'd run across the
Yes.
street to see the restaurant. And
Yes.
like this was also probably before a lot of restaurants were like investing in social media and stuff. So you really had to like be in the know. Also, being a publicist, we know that we entertain editors all the time. So again, I'm always looking for the best place. I went out a lot. And just like I loved eating out. Like I would say the ratio of me eating out to cooking and ordering in during those like early mid to mid 20s was probably like eating out like 5 to 6 days a week and cooking or ordering in once. It was probably not the healthiest also, but like I was somehow finding ways to do it and not spending crazy monies because I was doing it sometimes on a client's dollar, which most of the time people love doing it and seeing it on my Instagram. And then I would get invited to free meals, once I hit a certain threshold. So I think my first free meal, I forget what it was called, but it was some like Asian dim sum place on 23rd between what is it, Broadway and 6th. And it was like I had 3,000 followers and they wanted invited me in, and I was like, great, that's awesome. And then it kind of just kept growing. I still get so many invites that I really hope to go to these places. It's just much harder right now with my life. And I think once I probably hit like 20,000 followers is when I started to get approached for paid stuff. I've had some really awesome paid partnerships over the years, but like not enough to make. I mean, I guess if I really put my effort into it and like did proactive outreach, maybe I could have made it a true job, but I always had a
Yeah.
full-time job. So this was just like a nice perk.
Right.
And I truly would always just eat free meals or, because
Yes.
it was like, why not? I was like
Yes.
still living in New York City. And then in terms of paid stuff, so I've worked with everyone from Hellman's Mayo. I had one of my first paid gigs was Red Lobster in the city, which was a funny one. I've worked with Yasso, the Greek yogurt brand.
Yes. Well, to put it into perspective, Lauren and Eats in the City has 62,300 followers. So you have amassed quite a following.
Yes.
Um,
But I will say that it's been a lot harder to grow in today's world because I'm not going out as much as I used to. I don't have the time to post. I did go somewhere really good that we both have been to last night, which we could talk about. But
Ci siamo.
DCamo, it was fantastic. I recorded my reel last night. I'll
Yeah.
post it later. But I think for me now, it's more quality over quantity. CCAMO was not a free meal. I even dropped the food Instagram once we were about to order another glass after a bottle of wine, and they didn't care. Like,
Nice.
but honestly, I was happy to be paying for it because it was such a great meal, and I really obviously want to see them do well. but it's more special in a way, and it's great that I still have Eats in the City. I almost feel like I like lived a different life when I was like truly hustling, but I think also, and I really appreciate you still seeing Eats in the City as I guess people saw it when I started, or even in like when it was in its height, because I mean, I think that I bring to the table like valuable content, and I know that I have a pretty loyal following, because when I do post like, you know, little like ask me anythings, people do engage, and I hate doing those. I do them like once a year, but
Yeah, I've seen you grow. I've seen it happen because I was, an early fan. I mean, I definitely started to approach you and you were also receptive. And, I think that it was I had some, bakery clients that you came and visited and, you were so kind to everybody that I was working with. And then yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking back to, your interest in broadcast journalism and how use of video and, you really do have a great filming style. And that's,
thank you,
it's
because I hate my
engaging.
voice so much. I really, really appreciate that. I was just
No.
gonna say, and I appreciate you saying I'm nice. I really do. People always, my clients now, my clients then say, Lauren, I know that you're going to reply to my email. Or like, I know that you're
Yes.
going to like, you reply. I mean, it's harder now because now I have so many emails. I finally just made a business email for Etc. PR. Before I was using my like Lauren Amanda Wax email, which was more for like personal doctor's appointments and stuff. And then I didn't want to, truthfully, I didn't want to pay yet and make the investment to make an email. So I was just, but then it started to get crazy. And then I was not, and then I got anxious because I wasn't answering people because I was getting too many emails. So I really try to be responsive. Even if I can't go to your restaurant, I always try to say, like, thank you so much. It's a little tough these days. I'm on Long Island, but like I'm flagging it for when I'm in the area.
Okay, so we've heard a lot about your background. Can you tell us what inspired you to focus on brand partnerships with Eats in the City? And would you be able to share some of the most successful partnerships that contributed to your success?
Sure. So I didn't really, find a time that felt right. I got approached. Truthfully, almost everything with Eats in the City, aside from trying to get into a restaurant here and there, or pitch myself, to get some free meals and do reviews, is pretty organic. I wish I had the time to pitch myself for campaigns, but as you heard, I've always had a full-time job.
So interesting. Can you tell us more about Schmear in Port Washington and the role it plays in your portfolio of clients?
Sure. Schmear is actually a really awesome cafe. They have bagels, they have chopped salads, they have sandwiches, they have eggs. They really have everything. It's kind of like your neighborhood go to. And I've always eaten there. It was so funny. My husband and I, as we were just like looking at our expenses and stuff, we probably would spend a good like $200 to $300 at Schmear a month just because it was so good. And they got a new owner about 2 years ago, and I noticed that they didn't really have much of a social presence. And I just approached them then, and they, said, right now I have so many things I have to focus on, in the restaurant perspective first. And then almost a year and a half later, they reached out to me and they asked me to, help run their social. So, they're more of a smaller client. I'm good at doing social for food restaurants. Really just backing up, I've worked with a few others prior to that, just that kind of gave me the confidence to do it, the ease. But my true sweet spot is really the influencer marketing and the PR strategy.
Okay, Lauren, can you share some examples of the in-house style approach you take with Etc. PR, particularly in terms of partnerships, collabs, and influencer marketing?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you heard, I was at Beauty Blender and I was their global communications director. So, I really oversaw, all aspects of the business. And while I didn't oversee social directly, influencer PR, our founder stories all went hands in hand. So, I feel like I've kind of really learned to do most facets of marketing. So, for instance, I work with this really awesome client, All Use. It's a hair care brand. It's new to a lot of people, but it's not new per se. And when pitching that to editors, it used to, it's an awesome, cool, very necessary brand, but because there are so many brands out there and it's such a cluttered world, you really have to think out of the box. So with them, traditional PR, it works in a sense where it's placed in certain stories, but that's not what's driving their growth. So social partnerships and collabs and partnerships with fitness studios, which is really working for them, has definitely helped move the needle. Different like-minded giveaways. The founder is very health conscious, so we partnered with this gluten-free bread brand Pasha and had a really awesome giveaway. We're partnering with other clean beauty brands who all have the same goals and similar customers. So it's kind of just tapping into different customer bases and going after their work. Another cool thing, and not just to bring up with All Use. So they have a hair mask that you could wear anytime, anywhere. And the founder had, an awesome idea. Like, why don't we have chefs, like women chefs and women waitresses and bartenders, let's dress them in the mask and just show how, user friendly it is and how you can wear it in all day. So I set up a partnership with All Use and my client Wild, a gluten-free restaurant in Park Slope. And, they had a really fun day promoting the food, promoting the hair. And, you wouldn't think of that type of partnership, but I could tell you probably only almost every person who is gluten-free cares also about what they put into their hair and their body. And this is clean hair care. So there's definitely a customer overlap.
We love out of the box thinking, and you certainly bring that to the table with all of your clients. It's so interesting to follow along, and I get to follow along on a lot of the social that's on All Use and your other clients too, because I'm just fascinated by your approach. It's really unique.
Yeah, I really can't take credit for all of it because I will say I work with some really awesome founders. A lot of them have the ideas, I help execute them, but it really is a collaborative effort. And, I think it's also really important. And I saw this post on Instagram that said, you'll have a harder time staying close with a friend and making them a client than a client and then turning them into your friend. And like that really stuck with me because I feel like most of my clients, again, etc. PR is new, but I've made relationships over the years, and I truly would love to stay with people and watch them grow. And I could have been at Beauty Blender my whole life. I really want, like, I'm all about relationships and like staying close to people and just like, building a team and grow together.
I will tell you, Lauren, that one of my neighbors saw our podcast with All Use and she ordered it and she loves it.
It's the
So,
best.
yeah, it really is a great product. Okay, so how do you stay ahead in the rapidly evolving fields of beauty and food, PR, and what trends are you currently observing in these industries?
It's really difficult because it is always changing. There's really no one size fits all approach. I try to read, Women's Wear Daily, CW for beauty stuff, food. I'm just always, just trying to follow new restaurants. I look at the trending pages on Instagram. I'm always looking to see what influencers are going into competitive restaurants. I try to just stay on social as much as I can, which is also not the best thing, but you kind of have to in my field.
Absolutely. So, what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs looking to build a successful brand in the beauty or food industry?
Sure. I think networking is so important. You never know where someone will be in life. For instance, there was, an editor who re- probably didn't write for like the most well-known name magazines, and now she's a correspondent on the Today Show. There's people who, you may not have liked in college, but then they have a successful podcast. So then you have to, if you want someone to be on them, you have to, put whatever feelings you have aside. And, people change also, and maybe they don't. But if it's for the best interest of your client, you kind of just have to put on your big girl pants and be nice. So I think and then I also just think being kind, as we spoke about earlier, don't sweat the small stuff. People are not gonna, you might do a proposal for someone and they might say no, but you know what? Then just do another one. There's always room for more clients, more ideas. A friend of mine, her name is Mara Walter. She actually just did a whole thing on Instagram too. Like, try to stay ahead of your clients, even if you don't, if you're offering certain things and they're saying no, like look at parts of their business maybe that you need help, and maybe you don't have the experience in email marketing or newsletters, but if you're a good writer, you could figure it out. Like there's certain ways that you could kind of self teach yourself things these days, and I feel like that's what I do. Like when I heard about affiliate marketing, I was like, oh, staying away from that. I need to like outsource. And then I wouldn't call myself an expert, but I was able to set up some of my clients on this platform called the Rave. And that, is an affiliate marketing platform. And, I'm not managing the back end, but as long as you're knowledgeable about it, you can, prep your client, and hopefully it will work and be successful together. And if it doesn't work, there's, you can't like think of yourself as a failure. Like you have to be like, okay, we tried it, we learned, move on to the next thing.
Yes.
We want to try something a little different. Since you are the guru for Eats in the City, we want to do a quick fire round, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a couple questions, Foodie. So, favorite dessert destination?
I love a good chocolate chip cookie. So I love like Maman's chocolate chip cookie. I mean, I really love Mrs. Fields, but it's probably not the cleanest one.
Sure.
I like Chip City. I'm not a Levain person. I will have a tiny bite. There is this awesome cookie brand. It's called Havesies Cookies. They're not in New York City, but it's like an editor friend of mine and her husband Dave started it, and they are the best. They're like half. So it doesn't make you feel that bad that you're eating it, but he
Yeah.
ships nationwide. So
Ooh. And I have a gluten-free cookie to throw into the mix. Sweet Lawrence.
So all use is doing a giveaway with Sweet Lauren's and Gorgie. It's like oh my God, so funny. Literally like in 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm a big fan of Lauren, and she's just done so well
You
in
know
making.
her? Or you just like
Yes, yes,
that's
yes. My mom was in the food industry, and
Yeah.
um
that's
the
so
best.
funny. I'll tell Sam. Love it.
Okay. Favorite pizza?
Joe's.
Hmm.
I
Okay.
mean, I know there's a lot of good ones. Like my uncle just went to Lazara's in Times Square and said it's the best. I mean, I like Polly G's Slice Shop too. That's a good one with some hot honey. But I'm a Joe's girl, the
Okay.
original.
What's your favorite cuisine? People, I'm sure, would want to know that.
Sushi.
Sushi. Okay.
People think
Uh,
I'm crazy. I mean, Desert Island. I'd probably get like a spicy scallop pan roll, but maybe pizza.
okay. And is there a restaurant in a specific city that is just your go-to?
Like a classic one when I never could think of anywhere else to go. I always say the Smith. I think it's just like a classic. Sure I've had like one bad experience, but I really can't remember it. No, they're usually pretty consistent. You can find something for everyone. Yeah, I mean, like so much sushi spots have changed. There's a place in Port Washington that I love called Tiga. Everyone has to go there. Um, I'm better at like tell me the area, tell me the cuisine, and I'll find you a place.
So I'm curious, one more thing. You are from South Florida. Tell the South Floridians what is your go-to restaurant when you come back to town to see the folks.
Okay, well, this is also really hard because a lot of my favorite restaurants are now closed, which
Oh,
doesn't say much about the restaurants, but I love Rose's Daughter on Atlantic. Like the thing is these aren't like old. I mean, these aren't like when I grew up. Like the
yeah.
places that I grew up, unfortunately, like there's a place Japango's that closed in Boca, but they're in Parkland and it's fantastic. I liked Bluefin when I grew up. I love Max's
Lupin's
Grill
still
is
there.
always Houston's is always a classic. Max's Grill, Cabana on Atlantic is great. Rax, those are go tos. Casa de Angelo. I'm actually going for my grandma's birthday, but like there's so many new places that it's like I really want to try the new places.
Yeah.
Yeah, like R.I.P. Will Chamberlain, like all the places that I used to go to when I was.
Will Chamberlain's. You just dated yourself.
What about that sandwich place that you took me to, that
Oh,
hole in the wall?
that's a hole in the
Is
wall.
it VNS?
Oh, VNS is great. That's around the
Yeah,
corner from it. I took Serena to DeBest off of Yamato,
I don't
and
even know what that is.
oh my God, Lauren, we could go
Is it?
eating all day.
Yeah, my best friend Brittany and her husband are opening up a pizza place in Regency. It's called Vincenzo's.
Mhm.
Um, and it's going to be awesome. I had actually a VIP tasting. They're really going after. He tried every single pizza, not every, but like most pizzas
Yeah.
in New York City, Long Island, and he's trying to make a true New York pizza because I know there's like Brooklyn Joe's or
Yeah.
whatever it is, but it's going to be good. I mean, I love a Vinny's
Woo!
chicken Caesar wrap, but I like can't stand that it blew up on TikTok because I've been eating that. I used to go to Vinny's every day after high school. I mean, I'm very happy for them, but it was like annoying. I tried to order a wrap like before the airport and it took an hour. And I'm like, are you
Yeah.
kidding me?
The line is out the door.
Okay, Lauren. So let's switch gears for a minute and talk all things beauty. So you have some go-to products or maybe products that you just like to recommend. So all use is for hair. What about skincare?
So skincare, favorite brands are Sunday. I love Sunday Riley. I love her vitamin C moisturizer. I'm into pharmacy. I like their, what is it? Their honey something, honey glow moisturizer is a good one. I don't know how to say it, but I like is it Laneige or Laneige?
Yes,
The little the
yes.
masks. I use their
Lineage,
cream. I
yeah.
use their cleanser. I like
Mhm.
Tula. Um, this brand Acaderma that I just started working with, not just shameless plugging, but their products are so awesome. It's founded by a female biologist. She's a mom of two. They have this great product. It's like a barrier booster. Her products are sourced from West Africa, and like she went there to develop it herself from this plant called King Caliba. She would be good to have on your podcast too. She's fascinating. And they also have this product that's called the Invisible Shield, which it helps prevent like UV rays, pollution. It they don't claim it as an SPF, but it has like SPF like 15 to 18 just to put as like a layer if you're not looking for like a whole heavy SPF. Um, Makeup. I do still use a lot of Beauty Blender products. I love their skin tint. I also still use Charlotte Tilbury. I will say I've been so lucky with getting free beauty products that I have $100 gift card to Sephora, and I don't know what to buy. To, like feel like a peasant. But I'm probably going to do that this weekend.
Ooh, that's a fun shopping trip.
Yeah.
Okay, so also wanted to know what your take is on all these like kind of like beauty trends, like even things that are like facials or cryofacials or I don't know, anything in the world of beauty, gua sha, anything that kind of catches your eye.
Yeah, I mean, I think a good facial is great. The hydrofacial. It's so funny. I have a new face, like one of those like lifting devices
Yeah.
that I got for free like 5 years ago. And I saw
Wow.
like so many videos and I'm like, maybe I should A, see if it still works, and B, because they're like trending and they're like $300-400. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm an asshole. I should use this or I should sell it. I think I've used it like once or twice. I also have another like contour device. I'm gonna work on that. Like I feel like every weekend I've just been so busy and I don't have time to do that. But I guess it's less time than getting an actual facial. I love facials. I love massages. If I could, afford them, I would get one like every week. I mean, look, it's great that there's all these trends. I think it helps keep places in business, and like gives you something to like treat yourself with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so Colby, let's talk this last question. This is a new one that we can ask our guests.
Okay, so besides Instagram and TikTok, what is the most used app on your phone?
I could tell you with full confidence, it's Candy Crush.
Oh, my wife
I
too.
know you weren't expecting that. I
My,
No.
actually,
my wife does the same thing.
what level is she on? Because this is sickening.
Beyond
I've played Candy Crush as long at
years.
before I met my husband. Because I remember I
Yeah,
had a breakup right before Johnny. Like it wasn't a bad. It was like a mutual breakup. It wasn't for the best. And I remember all I would do is play Candy Crush.
I can't even believe it's still around. Like she's playing.
How about I Googled how many levels are like I thought I'm like I gotta be close. I gotta be close. And I once was close because they before they like kept
They
releasing new
kept, yeah,
levels. There's like 12. I'm on 4,189.
yeah, she's up there. She's definitely up
But
there.
there's like 10,000. So I'm gonna be playing this my entire life. But like when I look forward to just getting in bed, having like Seinfeld in the background or something and playing Candy Crush.
I love it. Oh my gosh.
I know.
Okay.
Sponsor me, Candy Crush. I know you have a budget. You paid Khloe Kardashian and like a bunch of people.
Well, you definitely have a perspective on that and how other businesses are working with influencers as an influencer, as a thought leader in the PR marketing world. Before we go, let's talk about what's on the horizon.
Sure. So I'm working with a new lifestyle. It's called Lifestyle Cafe in town. It's like a smoothie juice, healthy shop. I'm doing their influencer marketing and helping with their social. The town is so excited. A lot of fitness studios, boutiques. Even I was like getting a physical yesterday, and like randomly it came up. What am I working on? And I mentioned I was helping with the launch, and my doctor was like, "Yeah, we've been wondering when that's opening." So that's exciting to hear. And then I'm working I've never really worked. Well, I worked on a beauty app like years and years ago, but it was totally different. But I'm working on an app launch with a friend. She's doing more of the traditional PR. I'm doing the influencer marketing and partnerships. And it is like a guides app. Because a lot of the time you get all these lists and word pads and notepads and Google Share Docs, and they're annoying to read. It's not user friendly. So this guy Brandon Hurd, he's brilliant. He decided I'm going to make an app. So he made an app. It's called Pike. It's launching in the App Store, hopefully in the next week or so. And then later in April, you'll see some buzz from different influencers, all different cultures, niches, whether it's nightlife, food, LGBTQ, fashion, music, everything. So excited and definitely check it out.